Hey everybody, this is my homemade knife that I made. This is my first attempt at making knives, so I figured I'd show you guys. A lot of the homemade knives you see on YouTube are like more survival, so I went more like the tactical route. Started off with a 1080 steel bar stock. It was like 10 inches long, and then I ground it out with a bench grinder and a angle grinder and a belt sander, and then did all the smaller areas like the choil and stuff with a Dremel. I used a 3/16 inch thick stock, so it's a pretty thick knife. Took me probably about 20 hours all in. I got the steel and all the supplies from USA Knife Maker. I went with a style sort of similar to the Benchmade Nimravus. I really like that knife, so I included a lot of the features, and you can really see it in the handle. And I also went with a Tonto. The blade is a chisel grind. I went with a chisel grind for one reason, and that is, since it was my first knife, it's a lot easier to do a chisel grind than a grind on both sides. So the other side is just flat. One thing you might notice is the blade edge is kind of wide there, and that is a mistake. When I was grinding the edge, it ground a lot wider than I wanted it, so I just went with it. But it works. I got it pretty sharp. The heat treat I did on it, I did it in my backyard in the fire pit. I just threw it in there, brought it up to the point where it wasn't magnetic, and left it in for a little bit longer, then dipped it in some vegetable oil. It seems to have worked. I did a little bit of research on it, and I kind of just got overwhelmed with all the information out there, so I just went with what a few different people said. Stuck it in the oven for an hour and a half twice at 450, and then let it cool, and then stuck it in again for another hour and a half at 450, so I did that twice. And then put the edge on it and sharpen it. Like I said, it's seeming to hold a pretty good edge. It took a pretty good edge. The flat part of the blade here took a really good edge, and the tip didn't take such a great edge, but that might have to do with my heat treat probably, or maybe I just didn't sharpen it well enough. I'm going to go back and try to get a better edge on the tip. I went with a nice drop point here, or clip point. That way, you know, you can work in against something and not have the point dig in too much. And I prefer Tonto blades. I like having the big straight edge here and the tip. I mean the secondary tip right here for like stabbing into something and then tearing. Another thing I included was this big thumb ramp. I really like thumb ramps, so I accentuated that a lot, and it works well. There's no jimping on it, but because of its size, you don't really need jimping at all. And I also accentuated blade size. I really like long blades, so the blade's almost 4.5 inches long, and keeps that 3/16 inch thickness all the way almost to the tip, so it could be good at prying and such. Nice choil there, finger choil, and then for the fingers there. It fits my hand really well. Obviously, I made it to fit my hand. So the handles are G10 from USA Knife Maker. I can trim them out, cut them down. I mean, they're not perfect. You know, you can see that, you know, one side's a little bit thinner than the other, but it is a homemade knife in my first attempt, so it fits the hand well and all comes together nicely. The handles aren't glued on. They are bolted on with those two bolts right there. They're called chain ring bolts on USA Knife Maker's website. They have a little flange, and you just countersink the scales and they'll hold it on tight. What else? Oh, I went with a lanyard. Lanyard's pretty much just purely for looks. It's a Schmuckatelli skull, also from USA Knife Maker. I'm back here. I got this from the Nimravus as well, but obviously it keeps the lanyard nice and thin so it doesn't make the knife, you know, so it doesn't bulge out. And also you can use this as a strike and it won't chip or break the G10 handles. Overall, it came out pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with it. I put a black coating on it simply because I prefer black knives, and it just looks a lot better. I prefer, you know. The coating I used was Durcoat, the shake and spray kit. You know, no bake or anything. You just spray it on. You got to prep the surface well, and it seems to hold up pretty well. This is only a few days after. They say it takes about 3 weeks for it to fully harden, and it's been about 4 or 5 days now, and you know, it got a little bit of scratch, one little scratch there from use already, and there's a tiny little chip on top of the blade. I can't, Might be able to see it. But it's holding up really well, and I suppose after 3 weeks it'll hold up even better. Just doing a good job. I also made a Kydex sheath for it. I got this idea for the sheath from Thai Tactical. Their website seemingly doesn't work anymore, but I've seen their sheaths online, and I really like the design of them, so I kind of use their design a little bit. The inner sheath is what holds the knife. As you can see, it's very minimalist. I cut as much material as way I could. The drain hole on the bottom, and then these little holes are just there pretty much for looks. Got that from the Thai Tactical sheaths. And then the outer piece of Kydex is the belt loop. I made it so the belt goes through here and then up against your waist there, so it's nice and slim and it conceals well. Also, the outer sheath, part of the sheath, provides a little bit of stability and strength, and it looks really cool. Took me a while to get the retention right, since it's my first sheath as well, but it slides in, and then right about there the retention kicks in and it grabs a hold of the thumb wrap there. Can't really hear it click in, but you can hear it click out. So it's got good retention, and it works well. I like it. I'm really satisfied with this for my first knife, so hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.